Hey kids, join the club. Get the all-new CCXCC t-shirt made with 100% mutant power. Be like these cool kids. Get it now on dinobeast.com and chrisandersoncomics.com. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Chris Claremont X-Men Comic Club. I'm joined as always by John Coates. John, how you doing?
I'm excellent as always.
Awesome. And also today we have a very special guest, the Megatrip himself, Matt King. How you doing, man?
What's up, guys?
We're doing really good. For people who don't know Matt, well, we actually did an episode, one of my first episodes actually, on Tales to Enlighten, and then you also have Tales to Enlighten the New Testament. Both like a yellow pages and white pages, we'll say, size tome that you created because you're a madman. People need to go and check that out. But I digress, because right now what we're here to talk about is issue 111 of X-Men. We're back in the regular series and hitting the ground running. And Matt, you decided you wanted to join us for this little run because you were saying that like it's one of your earliest memories of comics.
Yeah, so I had first of all, I love the show. It's a great excuse to read one of these X-Men issues every week, which is like perfect for my schedule, and like I only want to read one issue of Claremont a week. And then I said, listen, number 112 is one of the first comics I had. You know, I'm a little bit older than you guys, so my dad used to travel for business, and he would bring home comics to, like, I guess, make me feel like he's still a dad or something. But so there's like 4 comics I really remember being like my first comics. So it's like I'm always terrible with these cameras, but like this Kirby 2001. This is a reprint of Captain America 105.
Nice.
And then this one, which is a reprint of X-Men 45 and X-Men 93.
Okay.
Because they were doing reprints then too. So these are all like 77, 78. And the fourth one that I had and just read to death as a kid was number 112. And I was convinced when I reached out to you. I go, I can't wait till issue 112. I really into it. You said, you want to come on? I said, yeah, I love talking about comics. So I was convinced I hadn't read number 111 ever. So I went and picked it up, and I had read it. So I don't know if it was one of my brothers that like got lost in the flood of when our basement flooded back in like the early 80s, or if it was like one of the neighborhood kids, because we all had like comics and traded them around, you know.
Yeah.
So I probably lost some valuable key issues then, but whatever.
Almost for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so these are some of my earliest memories. It's certainly my earliest X-Men issues. So
nice. Well, these are good ones.
I'm definitely into talking about them.
Yeah, these are good ones to have as your first memories because they're super weird.
Yeah, right.
It takes a very strange turn. I think the episode right before this, we sort of saw that Beast is part of the Avengers, right? And he has discovered through various means that something has happened to the X-Men, and he's about to try to track them down. And so that's where we're going to jump off in this one. As you can see from the cover, it's very circusy looking. So, John, what do you got to say about this?
Well, first thing, we're looking at X-Men in 3 time zones.
Yeah, that's true.
Today, which is pretty awesome. 2 coast and the central.
Yep.
111 is such a good issue. It's so weird, and we'll get into it, but like the kind of weird setup I love setups like this. And we'll see what happens when we get into it. But
I feel like the last time we saw I'm reading it in this like big collection. This like this, it just starts like cold, right? There was no cliffhanger leading to this, right?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Right. Cool.
Yep.
So I mean, what I was saying before about reading it every week was a good pace, and then I was like, "Oh, you should join us." I'm like, "Oh, great!" And then I was like, "Oh, wait, you guys are 10 weeks ahead on your recordings."
Yeah.
So I had to smash through a lot, but it was fun. Anyways, I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good point though, Matt. That like, so if you're reading like one a week, but like when these are coming out, it's like 2 months since the last issue of X-Men, and then you go to the stands and you pick this up, and it's just like you think you missed an issue because of how it starts.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll jump into it here. First, Dave Cockrum still doing covers, just knocking it out of the park here.
Yeah, that's a great cover.
When I picked this up the other day, I thought for sure this was Arcade on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe Arcade hasn't even had his first appearance yet.
That's a good question.
Not in X-Men, but he shows up in is it like Marvel Team Up or something is where he first appeared. It's like one of those little side things.
Okay.
But I think Claremont writes his first appearance. So maybe he got the idea after seeing Banshee right here.
Right.
Yeah. So definite crazy circus theme going on. I love how they're all described, man or monster.
Yeah.
Killer beast for Wolverine.
Yeah, and even the way that they play with the title of it being sort of this banner that's falling down so that it's even in perspective, saying now playing 1 week engagement, it's like the circus is in town. Right.
And it's definitely like if you look at the top right to the right of the logo there, it's like the wood grain. Like these are all posters, stuck on the wood of the whatever circus wagon or whatever. This is very cool. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I know Burns did 108 and 109
right
interiors, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But so I don't know if this is Byrne hitting his stride or if I'm just looking at it completely through nostalgia lenses. And I'm just like, when you see Beast in the overcoat and the hat here on the first page, he's like never looked better to me,
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. When you go into this issue forward, it really looks like Byrne has hit his stride doing the X-Men.
That's what I felt, but I didn't know if it was just me 1970s kid thinking that.
No, yeah, I think it's really gonna. I'm sorry, what were you saying, John?
I was just saying I totally agree.
Yeah, I agree too. I think that he really kicks in the next issue, but this issue is definitely it's starting to gel for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know we're going to talk about the whole story, but before we even do you feel like the story levels up in these issues too, or is that also just me? Is that I feel like 111, 112 are so much better than 108, 109.
I think it's getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like everything's starting to fire on all cylinders here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't hate Cockrum at all. I just think that these Byrne issues really level up.
Yeah, and from a story point, it just feels like by this point, Claremont really knows who the characters are, and if you're reading it, it just comes across so effortless. You're like, oh, this is exactly who this character is. You get it right away, the way he puts them in situations and stuff. So I do feel from this point on, it's it does level up a little bit more.
Yep. Yeah, he's really getting a grasp of everything. He's also hitting his stride.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So here we go. This sweet Mind Games. We got Terry Austin on inks.
Mm-hmm.
Great opening splash with the Beast in trench coat form. Finally getting cool Beast back in X-Men, where he's blue. And Byrne getting to show off that he can draw old people and some adult-looking children.
Yeah.
Like the one on the bottom isn't bad, but the one on the guy's shoulders kind of looks weird.
Yeah, that's a little rough.
Mm-hmm. So if we remember in the previous issue, the Marvel team up, the Beast went looking for the X-Men.
Right.
To try and get some help for Havoc. And he has sort of found his way to this circus. And
yeah, it's totally out of the left field too. It's so interesting.
Mm-hmm. And here we get all of a sudden he's looking at the Banshee is our sort of carnival barker guy. And there's all these posters behind him that the Beast is I think that's supposed to be the X-Men, but they're being shown off as just circus freaks.
Yeah, he's I'm not quite sure if it is, but I think it is.
Right. He has shown up in one of the very early issues on a monitor talking to them from the Avengers base. So he would have context for who these people are.
Right.
Yeah. And Beast in the trench coat is amazing because, you still see his face and stuff, but it's like the Ninja Turtles wearing a trench coat and hat.
Totally.
Going to the movies.
It's funny you should say that, and I'll bring it up in the we'll tie it together in the next episode. But yeah, it's funny you say that. It does remind me a lot of Ninja Turtles right there.
Mm-hmm. And so the Beast is just going around. He's going to try and investigate a little bit here. He's looking at. I love all the people at the circus and their reactions to the chained up X-Men or the circus freak X-Men. Like this guy looking at Wolverine, looks pretty mean, don't he? And the kid's like, "Oh, Gramps, I bet he ain't so tough."
With Byrne on the art here, and Byrne and Austin on the art here, it's wild how dense everything gets. Because usually when you're doing art for a comic, the background and stuff, you're not trying to pay too close attention to it. You don't want to draw the attention away from what the point of the focal point is supposed to be.
Right.
But they just say, to hell with it. And they just go in and everything is just drawn so well. And you even see where Nightcrawler is here, in the background, there's another poster way in the back. It says Leoloa the Duck. That's right. Some other circus freak character or something here. And there's all these little things that you could just sit and look at the art in these issues for forever.
Yeah. So that's got to be a reference to the artist Leoloa, right?
I would imagine so.
Right? Because he worked with Claremont on Spider-Woman and some other stuff.
Is that right?
Yeah. So he's around already.
Okay.
In this time period. But yeah, Byrne, they're going for it, and it really helps give you the good setting. It really sets where you're at. Just awesome.
I think a pace of I'm curious to see once it picks up to a monthly, because it's still bi-monthly right now, right?
Right, until the next issue.
So so when it picks up, I wonder if that background stuff calms down. We'll have to take a look at that when it comes up.
In that Nightcrawler panel, they have all the way at the center there, they have the it says Lotta Little.
Mm-hmm.
That's Little Lotta is an old Dell character, right?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did not know that. Yeah,
it's an old 50s. She's always eating a hot dog on the cover and shit.
Well, that makes sense then. And it's
my buddy who used to own the comic store, and he'll text me pictures because he knows I love to eat. And we're Little Lotta eating ice cream cones and all this shit, busting my chops.
So that's your nickname now?
No.
Yeah, and then we get in the last panel here, Storm and like all the people are the men are just kind of oogling her, and the Beast is just thinking like, poor kid, she doesn't deserve that.
Yeah, I almost get the feeling if Beast didn't discover that these were really the X-Men, he'd just walk away from all this.
Right.
Leaving this guy chained up against the circus wagon and all the other shit. But different time, different storytelling.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now we get our little flashback that shows the Beast showing up at the X-Men's house and doing his little investigation that took him to the circus.
Mm-hmm.
The mail is all piled up inside the door. There's a postcard from Charles and Lilandra who are like on a vacation, and the Beast doesn't know who that is, and he's just like, "Who's Lilandra?"
Yeah.
And then he finally gets to the kitchen, and like the food's all still out on the table, so it's like, ooh, very mysterious, like something bad happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They left in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even the sink is overflowing there.
Yeah.
And then he tried to do some stuff on the computer. And
it was Cerebro, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then he made his way down here to find this circus.
Right. Cerebro points the way, right? Is that how he found him?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Look at even when he's on that computer there, even the little numbers, they're so small and they're so legible. Like
right.
When you're drawing these tiny panels, you're working on an 11 by 17 board. And then that's crunched even smaller for like, the rim around it and cutting it out for bleeding and when you're printing and stuff like that. That's really, really tiny. And I was wondering as I was looking at this, if that's all in Byrne's pencils or if Terry Austin just like went for it too, because there's a lot to be said about Austin's skills in all of this too.
I mean, my eyesight's pretty shit, but those numbers don't look like they were hand lettered either. Like they almost like rub offs or something, They're like perfect numbers,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he did, but they're pretty perfect.
Yeah, they are perfect. And then you get into just like little tiny details of the mechanics of the computer and stuff like that. Like he's definitely,
right.
got his nib finely sharpened and, like.
I've never been the biggest Byrne fan. I mean, but these are something, you gotta respect them,
Yep. I'm right there with you. I came into this, not a big Byrne fan whatsoever. And I'm really appreciating it.
Right.
Yeah. This early Byrne, especially like right getting going and like with this issue, like it's really tight.
Yeah.
Like he's really focused. He's really on the ball. And so now we're back at the circus here. The Beast is watching the trapeze artist flying through the air, and he's thinking like, oh, well, that lady looks a lot like Jean. And he's like super confused. Everyone like obviously looks like who they are, but he still doesn't trust that he's actually seeing things right.
Right. I mean, you can forgive that he's never met Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler, Colossus, but I mean, he should know Scott and Jean for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this is just because she's 50 feet up on a trapeze or whatever. But
yeah, we'll forgive him.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So she goes and of course misses the guy that's supposed to catch her, and then she just sort of floats down to Earth, and like they yell Ms. Destiny, and everyone goes crazy. And now he's like super convinced. He's like, yeah, that's totally Jean Grey.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he's gonna like follow her back to her cabin. Very ominous, like his shadow, his cloaked shadow there.
Yeah, that's a great shot.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
She looks like she's about 50 here, smoke puffing on a cigarette.
Yeah, the short hairdo, the cigarette.
She's got now that birthmark or whatever on the side of her face.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, she does have a short hairdo, but in the panels before, her hair's long. Must be a wig.
And we're gonna get to where we, the sort of Jean and Scott here are just amazing. Yeah. Like the way she's just like, smoking. And then Cyclops comes up with his little shirt saying Slim. He's sort of like the bouncer.
Branded.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. And so Beast is trying to tell her, like, hey, no, we're friends. Your name's Jean Grey. You're a Marvel girl. And she's just like, huh, you're a kook. My name's Miss Destiny. It says so on the door. And then that's when Cyclops comes in. He's like, oh, you got troubles? And so he's going to toss him out. And then the hat comes off, and now she can see his face and thinks, oh, he's a monster.
Cripes.
Like that hat was disguising all the blue fur and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And he gets tossed out here, and then he's like yelling for backup. Cyclops is yelling for backup, and then Beast has got to ditch the coat because he's ready to do some actual fighting now.
I love that panel of him getting booted out with his bell bottoms and the foam, foam under his crotch there. That's just a great panel.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. And now here we get our like clown and these other sort of circus hands and maybe a sort of a strong guy or animal tamer guy.
And there's like a magician in the background. He's like colored oddly, so it's hard to notice him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. With the top hat and everything. Yeah.
Yep.
The whole circus.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And we get some nice little action scenes here because the Beast, of course, is just gonna just sort of beat the heck out of all these guys.
Yep.
Because they can't really take him.
Yeah. She-oot. It ain't human.
Yeah.
You dumb cluck.
Yeah. Yeah, the accents are great.
Yeah.
And I like this little kid here in the bottom. He's like, Mom, one of the big monkeys got loose.
Yeah. Looks like the kid from Stranger Things. He's missing his top teeth there.
Yeah. And now we get some more good. Byrne does a really good Blue Beast, I think.
I think so. It never looked better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's running around trying to figure out, what exactly is going on while he's fighting off these guys. And we get a little look at Wolverine here, who's still just kind of all chained up.
As a kid, I was always perplexed on why Wolverine and Beast had like the same haircut, like the like wings, kind of like.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
Yeah, you've never seen one person in real life with that hair except for like Flock of Seagulls.
Yeah, or cosplay.
Why does everybody have it in the Marvel universe?
Mm-hmm. And now the Beast is starting to think, well, if it is the X-Men, whoever has done this to him can't be a lightweight. And he's trying to think like, maybe I need to get reinforcements. I need to call the Avengers. I need to get out of here. And of course, here comes our Man of Steel and just clocks him right through the tent.
Man.
Bacam.
I love the pacing and the flow of this page. You got Beast in the first panel he's popping in from the right-hand side, but you can tell his trajectory is going to the left. So there's like this kinetic way of following him in there, to lead, like, it doesn't make any sense, but it does lead you over to the right to the next panel because you imagine him going into this tent, right?
Right.
And then you've got Wolverine in the foreground looking down, and then you've got this great 3-panel pacing of like his thought process and pulling out, pulling the view out, and then you see with this like texture that I'm not sure if that was burlap that he used or if it was like a screen tone. I don't think it's a screen tone, so it must be like a burlap pressed on there of Colossus coming through the up behind him, which is just leads to the last panel of him popping through and leading you to the next page. It's a great layout.
How would using burlap, how would that work? You'd like saturate it in ink and you'd mask off everything and press it? Is that what you were talking about? Is that how you do it?
Yep.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, that first panel on that page with Beast is bounding in from the right-hand side. The way Byrne draws him with the arm down, the legs like splayed, like he really conveys like how this guy moves,
Yeah, like a frog,
like an ape.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I love on the next page the way the Beast is drawn, just like cold cocked there.
Yeah, that figure works amazing.
Yeah. And Colossus's costume, like circus costume, is also really great.
Yeah, like some Egyptian costume. It's cool.
Yeah. It looks really good.
Or the Colossus of Rhodes or something, maybe,
Mm-hmm. And the Beast is trying to stay conscious. And he's probably lucky he's not dead.
Yeah, seriously. Getting bapped in the back of the head like that can't be a good thing.
And good shot from Colossus, not even, coming through the wall or whatever, the curtain.
Yeah, ripping right through
it. How lucky.
Yeah.
And now here comes the regular guys with their clubs and stuff, because now they found him, because the Rusky found him.
The one thing they're missing for weapons is Marvel always had like the steel pipe with like the end was a little bit wider. They always had
yeah.
It looks like just wooden clubs here tonight.
Yeah. And they finish knocking the Beast out, but our Wolverine is just sitting up here watching it happen, and he starts to grumble no at the bottom here.
Mm-hmm. He's struggling to do it.
Yeah. So like
look how far the look of Wolverine's come since Giant Size. Like he's so much more fleshed out, like as a character, more he's supposed to be savage, of course, but like you're actually starting to feel that now.
Yeah.
Whereas in those early Wolverine appearances, it was like a nothing character.
Yeah, and I think it helps like actually showing his like actual face.
Right.
And
sure.
It took him forever before they took his mask off to sort of convey his different attitudes and when he's getting mean and
yeah. How far along until that that mini comes out? Or is it a regular series or mini series that John Buscema draws?
The Wolverine one?
Yeah.
It's a while. That's in the 80s.
Oh, is it? Is
like
it that
80
deep into it? Okay.
Is that 84?
Because it takes a while before it comes out. Because the mini series is Frank Miller, and then
that's what I was thinking of. I think that's 84.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and then after that, because it's pretty late. It's closer to when the X-Men are in their sort of Australian phase, Australian Team X-Men, before you get the Wolverine ongoing.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. He's definitely also kind of gotten handsomer as they've drawn him, like he's not quite as ugly as like when Cockrum first unmasked him, and he looked really weird.
Yeah.
When Byrne gets to him here. So anyways, here we go. They're dragging the Beast so we can to the boss, whoever the boss man is. And like, we got the Beast. And they open the door, and here it is. The boss is Mesmero.
Who designed Mesmero? Do we know?
My God. He's got to be. It's either Neil Adams or before him, like what Arnold Drake or whoever. It's those guys.
Okay. This is a wild costume.
Maybe Don Heck, because Drake was the writer. So Don Heck was doing some of the art around then. So it's in those issues, like, in the 50s, like number wise.
Sure.
Is when Mesmero shows up.
Okay.
This is the only comic and the beginning of the next one that I've ever seen this character. Mm-hmm. I've read a lot of Marvel comics, but not all of them, but I don't know this character.
So are you saying we're not missing much by not having a lot of Mesmero around?
I mean, like when you said what his first appearance was in the 50s, like I've never read those issues evidently, because when B says you, and then I'm like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the Beast is so surprised that you would think it's like, I don't know, somebody that everyone who's reading it would be like, oh, it is him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But here we go. The Mesmero, who, of course, is trying to get revenge against his hated foes, the X-Men. And he basically, gives away his whole plan that he was able to hypnotize Jean in Grand Central Station, and then use her to get into the mansion and just hypnotize everybody and take them captive.
Right.
And then we get back to finally, here's our Wolverine, and he's just sort of strength of will. He can come out of the hypnotized state here.
Yeah, that's a great drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this Burn stuff here is just amazing to me, because when he gets into like Alpha Flight and and on even the Man of Steel stuff, it's like he has such a distinct Burn style. Like the faces they don't look the same, but they have that same look where I don't feel like that's present in this. Maybe that's Terry Austin, you know what I mean, and Byrne not doing his, it could be that too, I guess.
Yeah, it could definitely be that.
Right.
Yeah, but I agree with you, Matt. Like, you can see that with other artists too. Sometimes, like after they've done so many issues and so many pages and stuff, they just know exactly how they're going to draw a pose or something. And he, like later Byrne, he's like moving really fast or something, and he's just got his own shorthand style down.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. But at this point, he doesn't.
Because that top panel of Wolverine is sick,
Yeah.
Strain. You can see his shoulders bulge in here, and he's like, the strain is murderous.
Like you wouldn't get that look in Alpha Flight or anything like as the years go on. Like that's unique to this book, I feel like, or maybe this run. We'll see as we go on, I guess.
Doesn't that third panel feel like a Sam Keith drawing a little bit?
I can see that.
Yeah. Especially because of how hairy you can see his back is.
Yeah.
In the word, the caption box there, talking about his primal elemental needs and stuff. I mean, they are laying the groundwork for, all the stuff that will come with Wolverine.
Definitely.
I mean, I don't know if this word, isn't there mentioned, like, I think it says it'll be a little while. We'll see.
Okay.
I'll bring it up after.
All right. With the Byrne, as the Byrne stuff gets going here, they definitely start to develop Wolverine a lot more, which is good because they like really didn't touch him too much under the Cockrum stuff.
Right.
So now he had to be free. He just had to be free. Need to be free. And so boom, and he like snaps out of it, and he's like, "Where the flamin'? Where am I?"
The flamin'.
And he's like thinking, you know, oh, this green skinned dude, his eyes were like fire burning in my head. And good grabbing this dude from behind. Always good move there. Ready to pop his claws. Man, that intimidation, that works like every time. They're like, I'm gonna pop my claws.
Yeah. It's like the guy with the cattle air gun cattle thing from No Country for Old Men, you know?
Ooh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So here we go. Now we get back to our Ms. Destiny and Slim getting ready for like a night out together. And here comes Wolverine with costume now.
Right.
Just shredding through and busting in here.
So this page I remember vividly, even though I swear I didn't own this comic, but the second panel of him coming through the wall with the claws, and the third this whole page with the way they draw the mask, like Burns got this mask under control, you know, that Cockrum never had.
Yeah, and some of those fill-in artists were like, I don't know what to do with this.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so here comes Wolverine. He's going to make the rest of the X-Men wake up, and he's trying to convince Jean, and she's just like, Slim, help.
She's ready to do anything.
Yeah, she keeps talking about how she's got a big hot date with the boss, which is super weird.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then Wolverine, you know, just cocks him right there. Boom, crack.
Right across the face.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's getting slap happy now.
As you would do in 1978.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And then he realizes, he's like, okay, well, now how am I going to wake Jean up? I'm going to smack her around.
Right. Yeah. So this is the thought balloon I was going to mention a minute ago, where he says, a part of me buried so deep, even Mesmero's power couldn't touch it. So that's, you know, that really plays into, you know, all the Wolverine stuff they build on, you know.
Yeah, his like feral instincts in there.
Yeah, and his whole convoluted secret past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're starting to drop that stuff in right now. Give you the hints.
I mean, I'm sure there was no plan for, you know, that far back of what they were going to do with this character, but it's, you know, it's certainly interesting to throw the seeds down and then run with them later.
Yeah. And that's an interesting just part of his you know, his character, that sort of animal side that they're starting to connect him to, you know, and these instincts and stuff like that. And so just having him trapped like this in this issue is like a great excuse to get into that a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then boom, he smacks her again. Come on, Jeannie, react. And then he's like, oh, geez.
And she does.
Yeah. And she like has flipped the switch, and now she's going to become Phoenix. Look at that mean face.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Don't hit me, little man. Everyone's still calling him little man. But it worked.
Yep.
And then the anger, now she's like, oh, whoa, what's happening? Wolverine. This is a great Jean face down here in the bottom.
With the
shock.
Uplighting of it. Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, like we were saying before, fans of like the film, the movies don't even know that Wolverine's supposed to be this like, you know, little compact dude, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a big part of his character, I feel like.
Yeah. That he's like short, but he's still such a nasty fighter that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's like a Tasmanian devil.
Yeah.
Or a Wolverine even.
What? Yeah, and then so she goes to check on him, and he's like, oh, shoot, lady, you pack a mean zap. We got to go, you know, see to the rest of the X-Men. And here we get back to our boss man Mesmero, and he's trying to use his eye powers here. He's trying to hypnotize the Beast, but the Beast is resisting him, and he's like, impossible. How can the Beast resist? And then his other goons come in and are starting to let him know, hey, the X-Men, they're gone. Or they've gone crazy. They're trashing everything in sight. We can't hold them back. And that gives the Beast a chance here to just throw these guys into the air and just smash them together.
Do you notice something on the bottom left panel on Beast's back? Do you see that silhouette?
Yes.
I just noticed that.
It's
That'll
really
come up
subtle.
later, but that's great.
Right.
No pun intended, foreshadowing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Honestly, I didn't notice it either until you just mentioned it.
I just noticed it.
It's interesting how they do that. They did that with that kind of screen tone instead of doing like a full black, ink shadow that would be super obvious.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Maybe they couldn't leave it to that, and they couldn't leave it to the colorist to do either, maybe.
Mm-hmm. And
I mean, that makes it, that foreshadow, these three panels make a lot more sense now that I see that shadow too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And somebody takes the Beast out. And then now Mesmero gets to be the guy being like, you, but it can't be.
Another you.
So now we're going to get another reveal at some point. But first, here come our X-Men back in their costumes, ready for some revenge against all these circus guys. And it's really not really a contest. This is great. This Nightcrawler panel here. Is this the first panel we've seen in X-Men where you get his teleporting multiple times all in one panel?
I think it
Cochran
is.
Never showed it like that.
No.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
And it's so great. It works so good. I love that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Bam, walk, pow. He's and the motion of these dudes, he's really giving it to these guys.
Yeah.
They're really getting blasted hard. Cyclops with his little a little fine eye blast there to just take out this gun.
Yep.
Precision.
Yeah. Like a laser.
Hit him with the wide beam, he'd take his hand right off. Had to be precise.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That's you get all that danger room training.
That's right.
And then here we get Storm. Man, this is she calls them motherless scum. But if these motherless scum have gods, they should thank them with their craven hearts that the X-Men do not believe in killing.
Man.
Ooh.
I love the use of the screen tone on the underside of her cape there too.
Yep. Austin loves to use screen tones.
There's that, and in the next issue, there's a use of it too that just just didn't show up good in the a digital version, or it's just, I don't know, something about this old paper. That's why I love that John has all these old. No matter how beat up they are, they're the original issues.
Yeah, they look so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just you get a different vibe reading them. The paper,
100%.
the smell. It's more of an experience.
Absolutely, I would rather. I'm reading these epic collections. The pages are pretty slick.
Yeah, and that coloring is so bad.
I know.
What are you going to do?
I don't know, but the next volume is sold out and out of print, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I have about 10 weeks to find out.
Yes, you have exactly 10 weeks.
We But like the classics issues that like Chris has been getting, at least those are still on, those are still on newsprint.
Right. My problem with that. My problem with that, and we'll probably you have this to show this issue.
Yeah,
at the end. Yep. I'll wait for that then.
Okay.
Continue my griping later.
Yeah.
Controversy. And so you think would Byrne have any input? You think on any of these screen tones, or you think it's all 100% Austin, or maybe Austin plus?
Yeah.
But so what about the one on Beast Back here that we noticed? Do you think that's coming from the script and then Austin is putting it in?
Well, if you look at it, there looks like there's like a black outline around it.
Yeah.
So he would have penciled it, and then it would have been up to Austin to decide whether it's going to be black or if it's going to be screen tone.
Screen tone works. So, screen tone on that one, the bottom left of the left-hand page there, it just works so good because you still see all Beast's muscles and everything. And then
exactly.
Like if they just would have filled it in with black, it wouldn't have, that is perfect. I can't believe I didn't notice that until Chris brought it up.
Yeah, Austin uses a lot of cool techniques, and he's just got this masterful control of his nib and brush that we'll talk about in further as we get along. But yeah, man, he's something. It would not look as good without him.
Mm-hmm. And here we get basically our reveal.
Our early reveal.
Yeah, because they couldn't put it on a page turn.
Yeah, I wish they had used page turns better. Is my only gripe about these things. But anyway.
Yeah, here come the X-Men. Banshee blazing a trail for them, and they get to Mesmero's spot to face off with him, and he collapses because he's already also just knocked out.
Totally upright, defiant looking, and then boom.
Yeah, that's almost comedic.
And then, of course, by the middle panel, you can tell who it is now.
Sure. So good. What a good Magneto on this right-hand page.
Yeah.
Yeah, great looking Magneto here.
Again with the screen tones doing that shadow on him, on his body there.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to see on the screen, but it's not a dotted screen tone, it's a texture screen tone.
Yeah. On his face too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So cool.
Yeah, so bringing Magneto back really only a few issues after he had that brief little appearance in 104 where he just kicked their butts.
Yeah, he grew up from being a baby.
And they ran off.
Yeah.
Wolverine was pissed.
And at this point, he's such a generic character too. The difference between like Mesmero is almost more of a developed and interesting character than Magneto is at this point in the storyline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I like Mesmero. Like, it's such a weird design and stuff.
Yeah,
very odd.
Going forward in the X-Men, like he kind of becomes just redundant when the Mastermind comes back in later issues, and he becomes sort of the guy that's going to mess with their heads,
right?
And so you don't need Mesmero hypnotizing anybody.
The backup story in this issue, which we'll get into in a second, really makes him out to be a creepster. So we'll look at that here in a second. Anything else to say about the official original release as opposed to the classic?
No, but just what a great issue, from the very first page where you don't know any of the setup. It's like nothing led into this. A cold open, whole new set of, they're prisoners, because in the last time you saw them, it wasn't like that. So,
yeah, I love setups like that where you just open and you don't know what happened, why they're like that, and it's going to take you a while to figure out, what happened. And it's just like, it just kind of throws you off your game. Like maybe you've read a bunch of issues and you're like, okay, I know what's going to happen here. It's, here's how an X-Men issue is supposed to go. But then you get to this one and all of a sudden it's like, oh, nope. I actually don't know what's going to happen. And then you reveal Mesmero as this big bad. And then all of a sudden by the end, he just gets like knocked out. And you're like, whoa, what happened to that guy?
Yeah.
And now we get an even bigger bad.
Yeah. Right. Like out of the frying pan and into the fire kind of deal.
Uh-huh.
Let me pull this off the screen and put this one on, and we'll take a look at the classic one. Now we've got a Bogdanov cover. It's not Art Adams this time.
Oh, the Bog, nice.
Yeah, but Terry Austin's still inking, so you know there's a little bit of continuity in it. That looks great. He talk about hairy. I love it. Similar, but now we just are featuring Wolverine because at this point in 1988, Wolverine is he's hot shit right now. So he's gonna help move this more than a carnival barking banshee is probably gonna move it. And then they tapped him to do the interior too, which is like, what is that?
Look at, they are doing their hair the same in that one. I mentioned.
Yeah. And he's using his claws to do it.
Oh my God.
We got Kieran Dwyer doing the extra pages, and there's just two in this one right off the bat, it looks like. And it just sort of goes back and tells kind of the story of how Beast, came to be. Is like he was very athletic in his school, and ended up he was so very smart, and the school that he chose to go to was Xavier's school. And then through his own experimentation became the Blue Beast. Then he joined the Avengers, and because Polaris called him, we learned in the episode before that he kind of took this jet and went and found them. And then you get also these two extra panels here too, where he's just sort of
they start right off with the bonus pages immediately off the bat, huh?
Yeah, they just kick it right off the bat.
I'm torn on these. I'm torn on these X-Men, these classic X-Men ones, because it's like something, I admire the fact that they can come back 10 years later and add more story, but something doesn't feel right about it to me either. I don't know. I'm just torn on them.
Yeah, sometimes it does add to the story, I feel like, especially when you consider the fact that this is 10 years in the future and people are maybe reading the current continuity of the book, so they know things already. And so they're just kind of going back and adding things to catch people up to what's going on right now in the books. But sometimes I feel like they're just frivolous. You don't need them.
Padding, yeah.
And you didn't really need it on
almost
this
like
one,
almost like they're committed.
Yeah, they are. They are. They're definitely committed to at least adding like 2 or 3 pages to every one. And then the backup in this one is Mesmero's sort of story of how he finds Jean and gets her. And so what he does is he hypnotizes her and then takes him back to his place, and he almost becomes like a Purple Man. If you saw the Jessica Jones, I've never really read him in the books, but like this guy who can just hypnotize people and make them do whatever he wants. And so you see he's got all these like women in lingerie that he's hypnotized, and he's just like a creep. And then here comes Jean in some panties and a see-through thing. Like he's just gonna have his way with her. And then he gets the idea. He's trying to hypnotize her and basically make her have sex with him, but she's fighting it. And you can see it's the Phoenix Force that's keeping it from going all the way. And so he gets the idea to go and, get revenge on the rest of the X-Men. And so she brings him, he's got a little bit of a grip on her. He just can't touch her, basically. If he does, that's when the Phoenix wakes up. And so as they go in, he's, slowly gathering the rest of them, but Wolverine is not having it. They can't they can't break Wolverine because of his like beastly side, like they said earlier. And so he just has like all the X-Men fight him in this big fight between Wolverine and all the X-Men break out, which is kind of fun. That's basically it. They beat the living shit out of him. He's still up here, but he's like so worn out at the end of the fight that he just kind of gives up. And that's how Mesmero is sort of able to, you know, get a hold of him. And then he's like, what am I going to do with him now? And then when he goes in, he sees the picture of Kurt on the trapeze, and he's like, aha, I can make a little bit of side money by throwing these guys in the circus and having them be a freak show. So,
that's the way you're going to make your money.
Yeah.
Side hustle with a circus.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Not walking into a bank and hypnotizing the teller and getting all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he's so confident. He says, "Oh, Mesmero, you sly and brilliant devil, the perfect solution, a way to get even and turned a tidy profit in the process."
So I'm looking at the art here on my phone. So I'm not getting a good look at it, but it looks like the art doesn't hold a candle to the actual issue, the burned art.
It is. All of these backups are drawn by John Bolton, and John is just a totally different kind of artist. If it were its own thing, it would be fine,
right? In
my opinion. But because it is, held right next to.
It also doesn't seem like it's Bolton's best work.
Yeah, it feels like there's no heart. Feels like there's no heart and soul in it. It's what from what I'm seeing. He's like, oh, this is my job for this month. I got to do it.
Yeah, it's like not his kind of story that plays to his strengths, and he's just like, okay, I just got to get this done.
Yeah, because Bolton's an excellent artist. I'm not trying to say he's not, but it just doesn't. There's no love in these pages.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I do like this little sequence here where Nightcrawler bashes into Wolverine and goes through, and then the next one it sees him going through the other side, and Wolverine's socking him. And these faces are pretty great here of Mesmero, but other than that, it's pretty rough when you have just coming off of the high of this high octane, highly dense, super intricate, Austin and Byrne art.
It feels like the Byrne story there, the Claremont Byrne story had like a real vibe to it, and then this is not the same vibe.
Right. Yep. But yeah, that is the end of issue 111 of X-Men. So, join us next week where we talk about issue 112. Get your copies ready, however you can get a hold of them. Kick, claw, fight, steal, whatever you got to do to get a way to read issue 112. And Matt, thank you so much for popping in and talking to us about this issue. Where can people find your stuff?
You can find me on Instagram at King Megatrip 23, and you can find Tales to Enlighten for sale in my Etsy store at kingmegatrip.etsy.com.
Cool. I'll make sure to put that in the show notes. John, where are you at?
Oh, I'm on the old Instagram at JD Coates, and my comics are on dinobeast.com.
Awesome. You know where to find me. I will have a speed drawing of the thumbnail at the end of this episode. And you can find all the stuff on my website, chrisandersoncomics.com. Until next time, everybody, stay excellent.
That's right.
Later, guys. Check out dinobeast.com for all things John Coates like Dino Beast, Ninja 4, MLF, Berserker, and more. ChrisAndersonComics.com is where it's at for books like Chaotic Neutral, Spectral, A Showcase of Fear, Lost Angels, and more, plus apparel and original art. Also a link to Patreon where you can read Three-Headed Pigman now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. We'll see you next time on the Chris Claremont X-Men Comic Club.